Hey y'all, and welcome back to our channel. If you are new here, my name's Emily. We make recovery videos for severe anxiety, panic disorder, agoraphobia, depersonalization and derealization, and all of that stuff. So if you're struggling with that, definitely subscribe to my channel. Check out the link in the description to this video. I have my private Facebook community. I have my free recovery guide. I have my application for one-on-one or group coaching. So what I'm doing today is a part 2 to my Q&A because I want to catch up on all my questions from that private Facebook page. And then starting next week, I'm gonna keep up with them and basically just make a video probably every like Tuesday or Wednesday because Monday is my questions thread. So again, if you're not in the group, join the group, ask your questions every Monday. So I'm going to go ahead and just start reading questions. And FYI, this is an unedited live style video from my computer, and I have my very much awake newborn right here. So just let the distractions be minimal. Okay. So the first question that I want to answer, these couple are from my last Q&A that I just released yesterday, and then I'm going to go into the thread. So Christy said, I would love to hear your thoughts on sleep. When my anxiety cycle first started, I was having panic attacks in the middle of the night that kept waking me up and keeping me up. This has subsided, but I'm still waking up. I can usually go back to sleep, but I wake up several times. Just any suggestions that might have helped me break this pattern. So definitely went through that. I mean, literally in my Bible, if you read the cover, I had like written myself just these notes when I was in like the trenches of the anxiety cycle because I would end up having panic, waking up, getting up, going and sitting on the couch, going and sleeping in the guest room, back in my room, couch, just whatever to try to sleep. And I tried a lot of things that didn't work. And when I first started experiencing that panic, I was having a lot of like initially feeling like if I was going to let myself drift off to sleep, I was going to like let myself die. That's how my body felt. And so it was jolting me awake and it felt really weird. I felt kind of like drugged as I was falling to sleep. It was not good. And then I went through the season of really bad panic and those hot flushes and the burning sensation that kind of creeps up in your body and tinnitus and all kinds of other stuff, head pressure, dizziness. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I would say what works, right? What ends up working was one, everything in my guide, use ideal, response, 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 because what that's going to do is it's going to show your body that you're safe. Because right now, you're stuck in this overactive stress response situation where your body's telling you you're in danger, but you're just trying to sleep, so you're not in danger, which makes sense because if you think about, adrenaline and the whole purpose of your fight or flight response system is it's trying to keep you safe as if a lion were chasing you. So it doesn't want to let you sleep when there's a lion prowling around. No. So you have to show that there's no lion. And so that's where response comes in and is very important for the long game here. But a few practical tips that I'll give you apart from that are one, download the app Abide. It is, I think there's a free version and a paid version. The paid version isn't that much, but it's a Christian meditation app and they have sleep stories. And so I like Abide because when I go through Ideal and get to A, where I'm addressing the task at hand or whatever, and I was sleeping, it was really tough because there was nothing to redirect to. I was just sitting there in my feels. So Abide app is nice because you can put on this bedtime story and you might have to go through Ideal over and over and over again, but at least it gives you something to refocus on. The second thing, and like one of the most important things with this, is reorient your expectations and make your goal to get in bed and rest and stay there unless you have to like go to the bathroom or something. But get in bed, rest, stay there. Don't distract yourself with doing things, TV, on your phone, stuff that's going to keep you awake. Just listen to your bedtime story with Abide and don't make your goal to sleep. Take the pressure off sleep, the expectations out the window. The goal is to simply rest and see what happens. And if you fall asleep, great. If you don't, okay. And that's really going to help you along the journey when you start sleeping pretty good. And then you have that just like insomnia night from hell and you're like PTSD the next day, like waiting for bedtime. Then your goal is not to sleep, right? We're going to see what our body does. We can't force ourselves to sleep, but at least we're going to rest because there are benefits of resting on our body. It's better than nothing. So I will give you those tips and those help me a lot. Let's see. So, Michelle, my question is internal vibration. Is this a thing? Yes. Feels like anxiety, but it doesn't. I hate it so much. Is this a common severe anxiety thing plus a long COVID thing? It drives me nuts. It did go away, but I got COVID again and it's back full force. So you can look up, like, I think either internal vibrations or internal tremors on anxietycenter.com, CENTRE. And my non-doctor reply to you about all this stuff in COVID, because I've done a lot of research on this, and honestly, nobody truly knows anyway. But what I would say is COVID is simply a stressor on your body. Yes, there's things that can come of COVID. Yes, there's specific things that can come of, the vaccine and long COVID and stuff like that. So I'm not saying like that doesn't exist. But when it comes to these internal tremors and stuff, it is an anxiety response. But don't think of anxiety like, oh, it's all in your head. Think of anxiety like your nervous system is stressed out, your body's stressed out. It's in this fight or flight mode. It's overactivated, sympathetic nervous system. So look at COVID as simply a stressor, okay? Because that makes it simpler when you think of recovering from it. Think of your nervous system like a cup, and maybe you had some things brewing, and then COVID is a big stressor for some people. It is for me. I get symptomatic when I get COVID still, for sure. Yes, like dizziness and stuff still comes back for me. And sometimes the tremors, I guess, a little bit like in the morning time. But anyway, think of COVID as like a big stressor. It's overflowing your cup. So how do you recover from that? Well, everything in my guide, you're responding, you're showing yourself you're safe, you're getting back to normalcy, you're letting these symptoms be there and understanding why they're there, and understanding, how to recover essentially is by letting your body recover, by not freaking out, by responding properly. So all that to say, yes, you can do your research on that website. It's a good one. I don't recommend anywhere else. But very common anxiety symptom, very common stress symptom. COVID is a stressor. It's all one and the same. Okay, we just got to get your body down a notch to a healthier baseline, to a better baseline. But I had that for a long time. That was one of my very persistent symptoms. And when it did start to go away, then I had it as I was falling asleep, or like first thing in the morning. And with the sleep thing, we just talked about it in my last question for the reasoning why there. Your body's like, you're not sleeping, you got to be on guard. And with the morning thing, your cortisol levels are naturally higher in the morning. And so it's almost like your natural cup of coffee, it's like a stimulating hormone. And so that's going to cause more of those tremors. So yes. And I will say too, like, obvious disclaimer, I am not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But there is like one thing that I took when my tremors were like really, really bad. And I mean, to the point where I was like going to the ER every day, was propranolol. It's a beta blocker, and it kind of like slows that down a little bit. So it's not a miracle drug. There's no such thing. But it is one thing that I did talk to my doctor about and used here and there, not regularly, but it was before I had joined my recovery like mentorship that I had joined, like coaching or whatever. And so I was kind of like shooting like aimlessly spaghetti at the wall type of thing, trying to recover. And it did help a little bit. So, but moral like thing you really want to go after is everything in the guide. That's going to be your most important long-term recovery source. But to answer your question, it is normal. It is extremely common. I think literally everyone has it that I work with, to be honest. That's like one of those classic symptoms. All right, let's see what my next question here is. Does anxiety make the burning and tingling worse as well? Yeah, the burning, like when I think of that feeling, it's like that it would like bubble up, and it felt like I would call it a hot flush. So I'm not sweating, it's not a hot flash, but it's like just like this flush of like flood of adrenaline, and then it would make my skin burn and tingle and stuff. And yes. So again, what's happening is your body's in this state where it's like, we're stressed out. We got to protect you. We got to send you symptoms. And so what do you need to do? Well, let it recover. But the anxiety cycle starts when we're adding fear, when we're engaging with it, when we're focusing on it, when we're trying to get rid of it, when we're running away from it, when we're trying to avoid it. Anything that's kind of agreeing with that stress response and showing our body by how we're acting that like something's wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. And what I just thought of, I'm again, this is like an unedited video, so I don't know if my analogies are going to make much sense. But say that like I think of like a policeman like stopping a car or something, and there's like a kid in that car, and maybe he's stopping to like a wellness check, right? He's wellness checking. This is like your anxiety. We're wellness checking here. That's what it's doing. And then the kid's sitting there like wide-eyed, looking like it's just been abducted. Well, the police officer is going to be like, dude, this kid needs help. We got to help this kid. And it's the same concept with anxiety. If you're like wide-eyed, adding fear, trying to fix it, trying to change it, your body's like, all right, keep it going. We need help, you know? So sorry for that kind of morbid example, but that's what I thought of. Okay. Last question is how are your Prism lenses, which I answered on Facebook, but as far as the Prism lenses go, kind of my current take on that, because I got started with that process quite a while ago, and I've only been going back because it's free, to like continue to go back for now. And so I've just kind of been like making tweaks. But I go back again in like 2 weeks, get them adjusted. Honestly, at that point, if my vision has like massively changed and it keeps changing, I think I'm gonna ditch them and just go back to like normal glasses and let time do its thing, because ultimately I believe that the vision will fully correct itself with time. I did the Prism stuff because I was trying to like help some of that chronic dizziness and honestly speed up the process, which is not always the best, and I don't necessarily recommend that. But when I started it, I've just kind of been seeing it through. So the whole BVD diagnosis, I believe, is definitely from stress. It's definitely like all tied together. And so ultimately, when you fully recover, it should all go away. You know what I mean? I personally have a little bit of underlying like triple PD, like ooh feeling sometimes, but it's definitely gotten a lot better. And BVD suffers, I recommend more than anything. Obviously, my guide, that's important, but walking outside every day for like miles. Like that's been like my biggest natural vestibular rehabilitation. So, all right, next question. Does Cindy said, does seeking always reassurance make recovery harder? So like reassurance seeking. Yes. Because it's one of those things, it's like a short-term comfort. And it's going to help you in that moment by making you feel a little bit better for a second. But long term, it doesn't, because it's same thing, that whole like 5Fing, adding fear, adding focus, trying to fix, trying to whatever. It's telling your body that you're not safe, and it's like making your body think that you need somebody else to tell you, or the internet or whatever, to tell you that you're safe in order to recover. So did I reassurance seek in the beginning? Yes. Even through recovery for a little while, I leaned on my husband hardcore. I leaned on the group that I was in, which is fine. I leaned on a lot of things to like make myself just kind of be able to respond, because there is a spectrum of response and, exposure and all that kind of stuff. So I would say, limit it. Definitely do not get on Reddit. Do not get on these forums. Do not get on some of these Facebook groups, but in general, we don't want to reassurance seek. And little caveat, I guess you can say, like, I'm not talking about prayer. I'm not talking about reading biblical truth. That is, you can always do that. I'm talking about like, hey, like, do I seem okay right now? Like, Googling the symptom that you already know the answer for over and over and over again to make sure that it's anxiety when you already know. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Next question, Miss Katie. So how do you know what a true setback is, or if it is just high symptom days and low symptom days? Do setbacks happen to everyone? So I don't love the term setback, but it's like a really common term used, and that's what everyone calls it. Just like the term anxiety, I don't love that either. But yeah, the term setback makes it sound like you are going backwards in your progress and your recovery. But truly, that's not what's happening. A setback is literally just like when you have a really good period, you start to really, and we're talking like, you don't have like having bad days and good days are not setbacks. Setbacks are like when you've had good days for like months or something, or even like weeks and weeks or whatever, and then you just get hit with that like panic attack that makes you feel like we have gone backwards, we're at square one, like everything just seems to be like crashing back in at level 10 speed. That's what I would call a setback. It can last, several days, like a week or so, 2 weeks, I don't know. You just don't, you're like, what the heck happened? I'm never getting out of this. That's like a setback. It's more of like a mindset thing in in conjunction with higher symptoms, I would say. That can happen after getting sick, getting COVID, like whatever it might be that stresses your body. And yes, but ultimately, like it doesn't matter. And that's the most important part. Like, does it happen to everybody? Yeah, because there's ups and downs. Is it this crazy thing that like when it happens, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, here it is? No, it's not like an earthquake or like a hurricane or something. It's literally just like you have higher symptoms and they hang around and they start to trick you a little bit and you're like, dang, what the heck? Or like symptoms just come back like really fast, really high. But it's nothing to be scared of. It's something you may not even really notice. I know you, Katie, and I know that you respond really well. So I mean, it's like I still have setbacks. Like even after birth, I had like a week or two where I was just like, what the heck? You know? Um, I had like dizziness again. I had like definitely just postpartum anxiety, hormone type stuff going on. And it was a struggle for a little while. Like I had the thoughts of like, oh, I don't want to like see people. I don't want to drive. Like I felt like all those feelings again. And so I would call that a symptom setback, but ultimately I responded and I was fine. And so the moral to that story is it doesn't matter if it's a setback or a good day or a bad day. When you have symptoms and you have unproductive thoughts, unproductive things, you respond, period. And that's the answer. But nothing to be scared about, nothing like crazy. It sounds like it's some crazy thing that's gonna like hit you. It's not, it's just higher symptoms. Um, Let me see how many questions I have left because okay, I'm gonna break this video, I think, into another video because I'm pretty sure I've hit a time limit here. I'm gonna do one more on this video and then I'm gonna go to the next one. So Tony, thanks Tony for being consistent. I always see you on here. So how do you focus on life when your mind only wants you to focus on anxiety? So I would say like scheduling it out and being extremely intentional with life because and also like going through the motions honestly because you're not going to enjoy it. So like write out, what would my life and my day look like pre-anxiety cycle? And if that looks like I'm going to go meet up with my friends and grab dinner, I'm going to come home, I'm going to watch a movie. But anxiety is like, you can't do that. Or if you're further along the journey and anxiety is like, you don't want to do that. You're not going to have fun. Why would you do that? Then you do it. You don't feel the same way that you used to feel, right? You're not getting the enjoyment and relaxation and whatever else out of it. And that's okay for now. It's like physical therapy. It's just like a necessary evil to get to normalcy again. But basically, the more that you do, the more that you practice response, the more that you practice taking your focus off of things, redirecting your focus intentionally over and over and over again, if it's every like 2 seconds, onto something else, then you will see change, and you'll see that your body starts to like enjoy. And it's usually retroactive. Like you'll notice, like, you'll get that like glimpse of like, whoa, I was feeling normal during that dinner with my friends. What the heck? So it's stuff that you notice like looking back typically and it can be like a flash, for now. But yeah, definitely it's in doing. I think Claire Weeks says the only way out is through. So to get your mind to focus on other things, wants to focus on anxiety, it's doing, it's living life, redirecting your thoughts. The purpose of Ideal is to literally rewire your brain, change the way that your body, like in your brain, literally thinks thoughts. It thinks the easiest thought, and right now you've built patterns where your thoughts are anxiety centered essentially. And so as you redirect with Ideal, eventually those will become the stronger like synapses or whatever in your brain. So I hope that helps. But I'm going to end this. I'm going to record a part 3 because I have a lot of catching up to do on these Q&As. And then hopefully next week I can just knock it out in one video. But I'm going to post this today, post my part 3 tomorrow, and let me know what other questions you have. Join the Facebook group. Make sure you're posting on those Monday question threads because some questions when they're posted other places, even here, I forget about them, or they get lost in the shuffle. So the Monday thread's the one where I'm looking at right now. I'm reading it directly from this thread. So join that, post your questions. And if you need extra help, extra accountability, strengthen your mindset as you navigate the setbacks and the ups and downs or whatever, apply for coaching. You can apply for group or one-on-one, even if it says it's on a wait list, apply, because I do still accept on a case-by-case basis for that waitlist group coaching right now. And yeah, stay strong. Like, this is a season, this is a season, this is a season. So don't get sucked into feeling like this is going to last forever. Well, you can feel that way. I felt that way too, but don't dwell on it. You know what I mean? Because it is truly a season. So anywho, thank you so much for being here and joining, and make sure that you subscribe, please, because it keeps my channel growing and it keeps the algorithm working, and like the video and all that jazz. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll post part 3 tomorrow.